Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi. How you been?
Shabbat
It's been a while
Shalom,
since I've
Cantor
seen you.
Dan.
It's like
Good Shabbos,
morning service.
everybody.
Yeah.
So this week we start a new book in the Torah. We're starting Bamidbar, Numbers. And it starts off with taking a census, a large amount of counting up of all of the people, all the Israelites. And the commentators tell us that this is really all about, and right in the Torah portion, it's really all about sorting out how many able fighters that we have for we're about to go into times of trying to make our way back into the land, and surely there will be some strife. But it's a very interesting thing to think about how the Israelites are being counted. God asks Moses to help the Israelites take a census of all of the people. And you have to wonder, doesn't God know how many people there are there already? Why is it that God is asking for this? Surely God does not need these tallies and these numbers. And I think that there's a very interesting thing if you look at this as a parallel to the beginning of Bereshit, the beginning of creation, where God creates through naming, right? And then like God says, "Let there be light," and there is light. And once human beings are created, God says to the human beings, "You are going to name the animals and take care of them." So then we have the capacity to name as well. But now we're in Bamidbar, and it's kind of like a rebirth of sorts, almost a new creation story where the Israelites have um, just left slavery. They're in the desert, and what are they being told to call themselves? Numbers. They're told to be identified by numbers, which is really interesting because here they are at a time of an liminal space. They're not in the promised land yet. They're no longer slaves, and they need to break down what it means to call themselves something, to call themselves a name anymore. What does that name mean anymore? And so they're asked to call themselves by numbers. And it makes us think about all of the different ways that we think of ourselves and the titles that we give ourselves. And now that we are also in this liminal space, this kind of metaphorical wilderness, what do those names mean for us? And what will we be when we come out of this? How will we be changed? How will we go back to old ways? And how will we really approach things differently and find a different kind of way of being? I want to read a poem by the poet Zelda. Each of us has a name, just to help us with this meditation on who we are and all the different identities that we hold, and now in this wilderness, how we think of ourselves and how we relate to these different titles. It's called Each of Us Has a Name. Each of us has a name given by God and given by our parents. Each of us has a name given by our stature and our smile, and given by what we wear. Each of us has a name given by the mountains and given by our walls. Each of us has a name given by the stars and given by our neighbors. Each of us has a name given by our sins and given by our longings. Each of us has a name given by our enemies and given by our love. Each of us has a name given by our celebrations and given by our work. Each of us has a name given by the season and given by our blindness. Each of us has a name given by the sea and given by our death. And so now that we are in this liminal space of reimagining who we are to be when we come out, may we be strengthened to be the best versions of ourselves and to reclaim the names that we really hold dearest in our hearts. In the desert, in the story of the Exodus, when Moses isn't sure how to even begin his big journey of being the leader of of the Israelites to freedom. He asks God, how are they to even believe me that you'll be on my side? And who should I say you even are? And what should I tell them that I call you? Like, how are they even going to think that I'm really the representative here? And God says, you should tell them that my name is Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh, and that Ehyeh sent you to them. And this name that God calls God's self is remarkable. It means something like I am what I am, or I will be what I will be. But the basic meaning is I will be with you. I will always respond to your needs, unfolding with each person and each generation. So may we feel that strength of God with us as we figure out who we are in these new days and in these new times. Shabbat Shalom.